Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
The story of Truman Burbank is a tale of a man's search for truth in a world revealing itself to be inauthentic. The film follows a relatively simple premise. Truman is a star, with millions of viewers around the world observing his entire life, except he doesn't know his own fame. Raised in a huge set and surrounded by actors, Truman's entire world has revolved around him for as long as he can remember. But when a light falls out of the sky, he begins to see the cracks in his false, controlled life. The entire film centers on this idea of someone seeing the hints of the truth for the first time, and follows Truman's unrelenting chase to discover this truth. The film also critiques the culture mass media creates, showing how obsessed Truman's viewers are with his life to the point that their lives are consumed by his. Today, I'm going to focus on 3 ways that director Peter Weir uses the tools of filmmaking to convey these themes. The narrative, characters, and story arcs all serve the central meaning. The elements of mise-en-scène, such as set design, costumes, and color, visually symbolize these points. The cinematography, using lighting, lenses, and camera movement, emphasize these points to an even greater extent. All of these elements harmonize to create the masterpiece in filmmaking that is The Truman Show. Let's begin with Truman, the titular main character. Truman begins as a kind of everyman that anyone can easily relate to. He lives in a nice home in the suburbs of Sea Haven and has a desk job as an insurance agent. But even though Truman is ordinary, he is established with his own unique oddness as well. He talks to himself in a mirror, he cracks jokes about his vital signs, and always wears a huge smile. At first, Truman seems to be happy and content. But this is soon proven false when the first clue to the truth crashes to the ground. We begin to see that Truman has suspected for quite some time that something is wrong. Even though it's been years since Truman fell in love with background extra Sylvia, he still has her sweater she left before she disappeared. We also see how Truman is actively searching for answers by attempting to reconstruct Sylvia's face with magazine photos. Director Peter Weir alludes to this in an interview when he says, "Extremes always lie together. Underneath Truman's comedy, you sense that there's a kind of rage." But while the story of Truman Show brings out this desire for truth in its characters and dialogue, the elements of mise-en-scène highlight the same theme visually. One example is the set design of Sea Haven. The Victorian-style homes of the suburb, tall office buildings, and perfectly tended parks paint this picture of an idealized, flawless small town. A journal article, Escaping the Panopticon, touches on this, calling Sea Haven a critical utopia, which is defined as a non-existent society that the author intended to be better than contemporary society, but with difficult problems, and which takes a critical view of the utopian genre. The idealistic design of Sea Haven reveals this same sense of inauthenticity, like a painting of a place too perfect to exist. In a similar way, the colors used in The Truman Show hint at Sea Haven's true nature. The screen is saturated with bright, cheery shades of blue, red, yellow, and green, and the costumes of the actors, the paint of the cars, and the shades of the sunsets. But this use of color is even more significant when contrasted with the uses of darkness, especially in the film's final scene. It's typical in film to symbolize achieving truth with stepping out of darkness and into the light. But after associating the bright colors and light of the inauthentic Sea Haven, this trope is turned on its head in The Truman Show. The sunlight represents the lies of Sea Haven, and the dark unknown of the small door is the way to truth. While mise-en-scène deals with what is on the screen, cinematography covers the way in which it is presented. The composition of shots in The Truman Show blurs the line between the in-universe television show and the film. Multitudes of shots are visually implied to be from some of the 5,000 in-universe cameras hidden by Christoph in the studio. There are many examples of this kind of shot, from button views to a shot behind a mirror to a bush obscuring another scene. But though this film is filled with this kind of meta camera view, there are also a large amount of objective camera shots. All of the scenes involving crew with Christoph are shot in this way. By using this mix of in-universe and objective cinematography, Truman Show blurs the line between the audience of the television show and the audience of the film. In the same way the cameras blend television and cinema, so too does the film blend the truth of Truman's world. It is through his attempts to divide the authentic from the manufactured does Truman achieve his goal: freedom from control and falsehood. The filmmakers behind The Truman Show use all these techniques of filmmaking to craft a subtle and compelling story of Truman's search for authenticity in a world devoid of truth. The writing, mise-en-scène, and cinematography all point to this central theme. The film doesn't just tell the story of Truman, it also critiques the audience of the film by correlating them with the audience of the television show. Several shots of the show's audience members show them as glued to the screen, surrounded by Truman merchandise. They watch for so long and with such devotion that they have neglected their own lives to become invested in Truman's. By participating in The Truman Show in this way, they are becoming as inauthentic as the world Christof and his studio created. David Thomas and Gary Gillard touch on this in The Truman Show and the Programming of Reality. The Truman Show illustrates with frightening clarity that one of the presumed boundaries of television entertainment, what we might call the distinction between subject and object, appears to have shifted significantly. Ironically, it is the viewers of reality television who are left in the position of Truman, unsure if we are still in the game. The Truman Show takes these themes of truth and media obsession to challenge those watching. Will they follow the steps of Truman in pursuing truth, or will they continue to remain inauthentic by refusing to question reality? This challenge to the audience, communicated through the tools of cinema, is what makes The Truman Show a great film.
You want another slice?
No, I'm okay.
What else is on?
Yeah, let's see what else.
Where's
is
the
on.
TV guy?